ended up as wingmates in IIT Kanpur, where we started our engineering school. He was obviously smarter than me because he got computer science, I got electrical, and we both were passionate about computers. So we ended up spending a lot of time in the computer center and had some common passions on that. And as luck would have it, both worked for the same company after we graduated, which is very rare among wingmates. We worked for Amadeus, a leading travel tech firm in Europe, where we spent the next 4.5 years, and moved back to India in 2006 and started working on the idea of Ixigo back then, launched it in 2007. I think back the folks in India who were on the internet resembled more of the Western world. So it was very normal that most companies approaching the OTA space were building it with a more Western context, which is going after flight heavy use cases and then migrating those users into hotels to monetize. But as mobile started to come in around 2011-12, as mobile internet started to emerge, we realized that for India, I think the core driver of growth in most categories, including travel, is going to be the next billion users, right? People coming from tier 2, 3 towns, as well as the aspiring middle class coming from tier 1, which today may be traveling on train and bus, but tomorrow, will be obviously moving into categories like flights and hotels. And this is the insight we had back in 2012-13 when we started working on the ideation. And it was a utility app when we launched it, but it just grew by word of mouth to the point where it became the most downloaded travel app in the category. And I think the remarkable part about the Ixigo journey is that for the first 10 years of our existence, we had not sold a single ticket through our platform, and yet became one of the most downloaded and most used apps in the country, primarily by solving problems that we empathized with. And I think that's where the fact that both of us grew up in tier 2 towns really helped, because Rajnish is from Patna and I grew up in Kanpur and Lucknow, and all of us have spent a lot of time traveling on trains and buses, during the course of our life. And one of the things we realized was that this was an underserved segment. When it came to the pain areas of this segment, there was no one actually addressing it in a holistic manner back when we started building our Ixigo train app. So whether it was solving for whether PNRs would confirm or not, or solving for where the train was, locating it more accurately using location of all the other travelers using the app, or even waking you up before your station arrives. These were insights we got after talking to many people, going to stations, handling their problems and use cases, and building seat maps for trains in India painstakingly. The seat maps did not exist, right? Like you could not see where your seat would be. You could just get a WS window seat, etc. But you wouldn't know where in the coach you would be, etc. So we actually went very deep and solved for the train user to the extent where it became a strong word of mouth growth story over there. And the result of that is that today we have become the dominant app in the OTA category when it comes to train bookings, with a more than 52% market share in the OTA market. But I think the important thing to understand here is that it's the same user who, as they move up in life and have improved per capita income, move into categories like flights and hotels, right? And when we entered the flights category earlier through a meta search, we would compare and find the best deals and take you to an OTA or airline website where you could book them. We became transactional pre-COVID and started selling tickets. And we realized that a lot of our train users actually, and you look at the stats, right, 60% of first-time flyers in India started as a train traveler, right? So all of us have been through that journey. Maybe you couldn't afford it, or maybe you didn't have an airport in your city or town, and the only way to travel was train. And over time, as an airport comes in, as your purchasing power improves, right, you are able to afford to fly. The beautiful thing about our business is once we have built that deep relationship with that traveler very early on the train use case, which is a high frequency use case, we are able to leverage that relationship and cross-sell, upsell, categories like flights and buses and more recently hotels in order to expand our business, right? If you look at our scale, today we are the leading OTA for next billion users when it comes to app usage, downloads. We have 429 million annual active users, last year, and basically that was because again, most of it coming in organically. 90% plus of our user base is organic, right? Which means we don't spend money to acquire those users. On a monthly basis, we crossed 77 million monthly active users in FY23, right? So again, we are able to grow without requiring significant marketing spends in the past, and I think that has been a very unique element of our story. It's because we were solving unique problems for a unique set of users, and Ixigo is a unique Bharat story in this competitive space where you have multiple OTAs, but the lens through which we look at our users, the lens through which we look at the problems we need to solve is very different, right? Like the problem a user from Darbhanga has in getting to Indore is a very different problem from someone actually looking for a flight from Delhi to Singapore, right? So I think understanding, empathizing that use case, customizing, localizing, eye for detail for every small thing. If you book a ticket through us, we help you automatically web check in and send your boarding pass directly on your WhatsApp, right? I mean, these are small things that we've done to improve the customer experience. Last year, we were the fastest growing OTA. If you look at our market position, we're in the top 5, but continue to grow much faster than the market. We've grown to 5.3% market share in the 9 months FY24 compared to 3.3% the year earlier. And if you benchmark against the overall market or other OTAs, you'll see that it's grown significantly fast. And the reason is that if you're waitlisted on a train, or if you actually do not have connectivity and you now have an airport, and Ayodhya being a great case in point, more recently came up, and the airport didn't exist earlier. A lot of our users were already using trains or buses to get there, and all we had to do was actually tell them that you now have an airport, and lo and behold, you start seeing flight bookings scale up because you already built trust with the user. So that's the template we've applied to get to where we are. It's deep empathy for those customers that come from the smallest of places in India, Bharat, and identifying pain areas ahead of anybody else by talking to them, by spending time with them, and over time you are able to buy from them. I think today we are fortunate to be the second largest OTA in India. Last couple of years we've delivered significant growth in profits and reached a scale where we have predictable growth in revenue and earnings, and that has given